So when she talked about seasons in her life, I'm in the same point in my life where I'm in a season of I want to sell all of my properties.
Realtors are kind of looked down upon right now.
Do you ever think like, oh, I should buy this and I should fix it up? As an experienced investor, I do find a lot of deals off market, but you can still find deals on market. That means through a real estate agent listed on the MLS, and that's open to everybody, and not everybody knows how to look for these types of deals. So the condo that I'm standing in right now is my first ever rental that I purchased, and I actually found this on market in 2019. It was listed by I guess you would say a tired landlord. They didn't want to manage the property anymore. There was too many headaches dealing with the tenant, and after owning anything property for a certain amount of years, there's quite a bit of maintenance that has to happen. And so they were willing to sell the property at a discount. I bought it for about $95,000. And initially I didn't renovate it. There was already renters in here and they were going to move to another place. They were just kind of waiting for it to be ready. So once they moved out, then I did some basic rental renovations that include new paint on the walls. We put in all new flooring. We put in new cabinets, new appliances, and updated the vanities as well as the toilets and the shower. So it was really crucial for us to kind of give it a refresh so that we could have new renters in here. And for the longest time, it was rented to people that were on Section 8. And that's just the type of renters that are common in this condo complex. But we were receiving, I think in the beginning, it was $2,200 a month. And then more recently, we rented it out to FEMA after the Lahaina fires, and we're getting $3,600 a month for this particular unit, which was a great experience for us. But now that we're scaling into bigger projects, we decided to sell it. And I turned to one of my realtor friends who had been selling condos in this complex and already had experience. So one tip I can give you when choosing a realtor to list your properties as an investor is you want to pick somebody that knows that market, that already has tapped into the buyers and what they want to see. So I was really leaning on her experience and her expertise to tell me, okay, what should I list this property at? What should I do before I list it? And then also kind of what was her feeling on if it was the right time to list right now. And so today I'm going to be walking through a few renovations with her because I own a few units in this complex, and then jump right into an interview with her on how realtors and investors can work together and find deals. And she was one of the people that reached out to me on a previous project that she knew was a good fit. It was a full fixer-upper. However, for her, there was multiple benefits of working with investors. And a lot of people actually think that realtors and investors, are competition. But we're going to show you in today's video how you can make it a win-win for everybody all around. So make sure you like and subscribe and follow along on our journey. I'm here at one of my units that I've listed for sale with my realtor, Joanne, one of my realtors. And she's done a great job with listing it, just giving me tips on the price point, the comps. And I think as an investor, I don't have my real estate license. So I think having a realtor on your team is super valuable, but also one who has experience. And the reason why I contacted her was because when I was looking to list my property, I seen that something that she listed here went pretty quickly. So the first thing I did is contact her, and she gave me the confidence to guide me on how I could get my unit to potentially sell quickly. And so for me, that is something that I look for in a realtor, even though I am an investor and work with multiple realtors. For me, I want to work with the one that, well, one, be able to sell my property the fastest, but also one that has experience in that area and can hopefully bring more buyers in, or has worked with other people that could potentially be open to buying, buy property. So I think for anybody who is debating, working with a realtor or not, I always highly suggest, especially when you're selling a property, because there's a lot that goes into the selling side as far as showings, as far as listing it and knowing what to look for, what buyers are looking for. And then also just all the time it takes and the marketing and advertising and connecting with other agents, because it seems like there's a lot of communication that goes back and forth. So maybe if you could just talk a little bit about yourself, what you do now, and your experience, and then also what it's like to work with investors.
Aloha. First of all, congrats. We are in escrow. Yay! After a week. And hopefully it'll be a quick, it seems like it's a quick closing. But yeah. I actually enjoy working with investors. There is that misconception that, investors, they don't have the due diligence is not matched, or the expectations are not equal playing field. But as a realtor working with an investor, I already have those expectations. We know that they work with multiple realtors, but as a realtor, I know what I'm confident in bringing to the table. And if she's coming to me and talking about central properties, which I feel like I'm confident in, I'm like, girl, I'm your girl, right? But if she's asking me questions about, properties on the west side, or Wailea, I'm going to be straight up. I'm like, you know what? I could help you, but honestly, that's just not my expertise. That's not my area. So working with investors, we have this more transparent, like, let's be real kind of deal. And it's also nice because they can bring something to the table that I don't have. For example, working with her now, I'm now from one listing to possibly 4. Investors have that opportunity for us agents, especially in the market that we're in right now. It's crazy.
And I think it's good that people are realistic with what the expectations are as far as the selling side. Of course, everybody wants the highest price, make the most profit. But I think with using someone who has access to actual data of things that's sold is you put in perspective, well, if you want to sell right away, you got to list it kind of maybe a little bit lower than expectations. Yeah. But again, how long do you want to hold it? As an investor, there's holding costs every month that you have to think about. Yes, you might be able to list it a little bit higher and have it wait a little bit longer, but you never know if you want to price competitively. I think you guys have the most access to the relevant data. There's Zillow and Redfin and all this other things that you could be using, but it's not really the most accurate sold comps that you can look for too.
And also, I feel like as agents, we communicate amongst each other as listing agents, or for example, with this unit, I've contacted listing agents there's 16 to possibly 20 units that'll be on the market active. So it's really important for me to call these agents and have conversations, even with buyer agents who've closed here recently. So these are the kind of things that we could offer to the investor, something that they don't need to do. That's time off of their hands. And, I think that's really valuable that we bring to the partnership.
Yeah. On previous transactions that we've done before as well, I think I came to you as a buyer letting you know, like, hey, I'm looking for fixer-uppers, if there's anything that come across your table. And there was one particular one where you were able to bring it to me and kind of work with me and the seller. So as a realtor, you could possibly make more because you could get double commission representing both sides. But also if you know that this person will close and is a a legit buyer, it'll also improve the homeowner, the seller's experience as well, because you're not dealing with, possibly things that will fall out of escrow with people that weren't really serious or throwing lowball offers to begin with. But I think, like you mentioned, if the expectations are there and you set the playing field for the seller and then also the buyer, I think that in itself will help with a successful transaction too.
Yeah. So when we talk about those fixer-upper properties, it's who's our first go-to, right?
Yeah.
Before we even put it in the market, we call our investor friends. Like, look, this is what we got. And they can come and take a look at it. And they also give us insights on what they feel is like, oh, man, that's a lot of work. And what I also really like working with investors is that they also have resources and access that I don't always have. The contractors, I know a guy, right? So if I'm looking at the roof, it's like Zasha will know a guy, a few of them. So she has valuable information for us as well, especially when it comes to these fixer-upper properties. And yeah, sometimes it'll be like, girl, I'm your girl. I'll buy the property, right? So, and yeah, my sellers were so happy because we managed to close that really quick.
But it was a lot of work. It was a lot. So, but thank you for thinking of me, and then vice versa. I think of you when it comes to, like you said, just where I see that you're having success in, or like what you've sold recently and how that went, if it's in certain areas that I'm looking at as well. But for your side, when you see investors, or because you're constantly walking through properties, do you ever think like, oh, I should buy this and I should fix it up? Or
I feel like every realtor has that. That's like our end goal. Like at some point, I just want to bring my own deals and close my own deals. But the reality of it, I think everybody goes through seasons in their lives. And right now, that's not my time, not my season. I am actually a part-time realtor. I'm a full-time teacher.
oh,
So, and that is my first love. Yeah, it's not my time, I feel like, but I definitely would love to invest at some point.
well, for me too, I think it's just knowing, like you said, how much time you have to put into it. Because even on the realtor side, you're doing it part-time. Investing for me for the past several years has been a full-time job. And now I'm in a transition point in my career where I want to sell all of my properties or my smaller properties and then move into bigger properties as well, commercial real estate, RV parks, office buildings and things like that. So I'm kind of headed to that next level. And all of this, like even units like this, it's small, it's cash flowing, it's doing well, but it also honestly takes just as much time and even more in-person effort of dealing with, fixes and things that go wrong, or renter late night calls, that when I'm working with bigger commercial buildings, like I don't really have to deal with that. And I'm making just as much or not more on those types of projects. So it's eye-opening for me to just kind of see that transition. And
I think it's great what you're doing, helping the local families. I've always seen you as inspiration. I always feel like, oh my gosh, this girl, she give them. I actually met her at a listing, one of my very first listings in Makawao. Do you remember that? And we were talking about our license, how hard that test is.
I did take my license, by the way, my licensing test. I passed. I just never signed on with a brokerage because I was already under contract with my first flip. And then I seen how much work it was to actually, show the properties. I was like, oh, well, if I just pay them the commission, I mean, that's well worth the time it would take for me to do it myself. So I think it's a different mindset too when it comes with people and thinking about commissions of like, oh, I got to pay this or I got to do that. And I think when it comes down to it, like you mentioned before, it's like, what do they bring to the table? And then if you did it, how much time would that take for you? What is that worth to you?
Yeah, I always wonder because, we have some friends, mutual friends who are also realtors and they're also investors. They're doing really well. They travel a lot. They go on all these trips. And I'm like, dang, so blessed. Wow. I have my kids in tow, almost every day.
Yeah.
I'm like, wow, that's just so amazing. And it gives people hope. Whether you have your real estate license or not, you don't have to. Because like I said, you have so many agents that you could work with, like myself. But it's also, I think it would be a good thing to have for me at least.
Yeah.
But overall, I think working with investors is really beneficial. I mean, like I said, the market that we're in right now is crazy. I just feel really blessed to have some listings and that Zasha called me. Now I can afford. But it's also good because I learn a lot of things. I'm learning so much from Zasha and just the way the investment part aspect of real estate is working. And I just met one of our contractors. Now I think I know a guy. So it's a great partnership. I know some agents, when we talk to certain agents, we talk about working with investors. It's like, oh yeah, but sometimes it's like they work with all kind of different agents. I don't like that. I don't like that they work with different agents. If I'm going to be giving my full fiduciary duty to this investor, like expectations should be the same. But then they're out there talking to other realtors and it almost feels like, oh,
Yeah.
who are you talking to?
Yeah.
Wait, you're listing with that agent now? What about me?
Yeah.
But I think there is kind of like that common understanding and expectations for most realtors, but definitely something we talk about.
Yeah.
It's not.
No, I think it's good to be truthful on how you feel, because even coming from our side, I mean, I'm straight up with people. Like I tell realtors, like I work with multiple people and it just depends on the situation. If one realtor brings me a deal or is like, hey, I want to list for you and I can offer you this, I'm going to look at it because for me, it's a bottom line. And like you said, you went from like, if other realtors don't want to work with investors, they just lost their chance at potentially listing for properties.
Exactly.
So if you don't want to work with investors, then that's fine, but you're also potentially losing business. But I can see on the buy side as well, how if you're the one constantly looking up things for them, taking them to showings, and wanting them to buy a property from you, and then all of a sudden they buy something through another realtor, then it's like, how is that fair? So I believe on the buy side, to definitely, if you're buying something on market, to be sticking with at least one realtor for a set amount of time, 6 months or a year, however long that is. And then if you feel like they're not suited well with you, then move on to someone else. Because even you representing the buyer, that is a lot more work to me that you don't get paid until whenever. So
A lot of work to work with buyers.
Yeah,
especially now the buyers are responsible to pay for their own buyers compensation. I feel like that's also one of the factors why we don't have so much buyers, because in their mind they're like, oh my gosh, I have to pay a deposit, I gotta pay the lender fee, the escrow fee, and I gotta pay my agent. It's legal representation, but most investors are like, oh yeah, I'll just pay, it's fine. But also it depends on how much, right? Money talks, like numbers is everything.
I guess one question that I get asked a lot is like, how do I feel about investing in Hawaii, fixing up places, selling them at market value? A lot of times people see that as like, quote unquote, adding to the problem. There have been any times where you got any feedback from people about, you being a realtor or anything like that challenged what you do, and how do you respond to that?
Oh yeah, well, especially right now with what's going on with the Sierra phase out. Realtors are kind of looked down upon right now from the community, and I get it. But again, like I said, I majority of my clientele is family or friends. So I don't do cold calls. That I think for everybody's different. And teaching is my bread and butter. As much as it's great to have a closing here and there, for myself personally, I don't get a lot of heat for it because I know the people that I work with they're locals.
Right.
But I see what you're saying, how it can be, especially as investors, they're like, oh,
Intrigued. Yeah.
But you're working with the locals, you are housing the locals. So I also feel like me, people look at investors differently depending on what their end goal is and how they're using their profits. Is it staying in our community, right? But also, we all gotta make a living. It is expensive to live in Hawaii. It's so expensive. Like I said, I'm doing teaching and I'm trying to make it just by selling houses, buying houses. But also I do massages on the side. I am doing everything I can to just try and survive here. And I don't see myself living anywhere else.
Yeah.
This is just where I've been whole life.
Same here. And I feel like the more that you also talk about the good that you do, the better people will come to be more understanding. And so even though, we do buy properties, we do fix them up, majority of them are rented to people on Section 8 or some kind of rental assistance. And majority of the families that we do sell the homes to end up being local families.
Yeah.
So I think for me, the importance is honing in on the importance of ownership in Hawaii. And when you own a house, whether you're a home buyer or an investor, you get to choose, and I'm not licensed, so I get to choose who gets to, like out of all the buyers, who gets to live in that house. And I'd rather see choose someone local to live there instead of someone coming out of state, someone local who's going to add value to the community.
Right.
So I think, like you said, it's just what do you do with your profits and making sure that you are making an impact with it, right, locally.
Yeah.
And it allows you to do your job and teach our local community, teach our kids, do your passion. It allows me to teach other local people how they can make a living here, how they can have extra income streams in order to survive here and stay. So thank you so much for everything that you do.
Of course. Thank you for working with me.
I feel blessed too to have met you on this journey and just watching your journey as well and everything that you do, especially for your kids, for your family, for the community.
We appreciate you for housing our families. These are my kids, and our families at our schools. So appreciate you having them stay here because I know so many of them are leaving. Our school population, our enrollments are getting less and less every year. They're leaving. It's because of housing. So really appreciate you trying to keep our families here and, the income, the money also keep flowing in within our community. So mahalo. And I look forward to working with you and close these deals. Yay! Yeah.
So we just wrapped up the walkthrough and interview with my realtor, Joanne, on this project. And I think what really stood out to me is that she talked about pricing it right, talked about trusting your real estate agent who knows the market, and then also how there's seasons in people's lives. Because I talked about, realtors are in the market every single day. They see all these properties, do they ever get inspired to fix up these homes and do it themselves? But like she mentioned, when you're taking on an investment property, especially one that needs a lot of work, it's like taking on another job. And so if your focus is to be the best agent that you can be, and you do that full time, it might not be a great fit. But I know people that do both. They're an investor and an agent because they get also that bonus of listing it themselves. They save money that way. And then also potentially being the first one to be able to find deals because they're talking directly to homeowners that are already motivated to sell. And so when she talked about seasons in her life, I'm in the same point in my life where I'm in a season of wanting to passively invest, wanting to be less involved in the day-to-day acquisitions, and just at a point in my life where I want my money to be working for me and not having to dedicate so much time to having it grow and just have that steady return. So that's what I'm concentrating on right now, and selling all my smaller properties, moving them into larger projects and into our fund, and really just being able to enjoy time with my family and enjoy time building businesses. That's what I've come to learn about myself as well, is that it's fun just doing things that you love, and you can make more of an impact when you're not worried about your finances as well. So with that, hope you like this video. Please like and subscribe for more if you haven't already. We're going to be doing more behind the scenes, showing you more strategies to get started in real estate, and also how you can build wealth even in an expensive market.